Hello and welcome back once more yet again to the beautiful confines of the River Severn. It's raining, but we're here in Ironbridge. There's a canopy of trees above me which is just about sheltering me from the storm. But I can't resist being here, let's be honest. And I'm still reading from my fourth self-published book, The Spirit of Cricket, an upside-down journal from the 2023 Ashes. And I just can't resist reading this chapter. It's a very long chapter. But hey, we're in Ironbridge. We're on the banks of the River Severn. I'm going to give myself the latitude of one or two stumbles, but here we go. Ashes debrief and final cricketing ramble of the summer. Bowling from the pavilion end, Stephen Blackford. Tuesday, the 1st of August 2023. Act 1, a dogged opening session of play. Well, my friends, it's over, and yes, there is a little quiver in the voice as I lament and declare this year's cricketing Ashes summer to be over. I joked last evening on Twitter that I now have a gaping void where Test match cricket has resided rather snugly for the past 2 months, and I requested my readers to send suggestions as to what I could now compulsively and obsessively fill this void with in the coming months. Sure, I was being overdramatic, a forte I've long since mastered, and of course the football season will soon begin again. My social affairs editor, Dr. Horseman, tells me the Ladies Netball World Cup is rather exciting, and I need to turn my sporting attention and support to my Los Angeles Dodgers to guide them through the playoffs and into the October surprise of World Series glory. Before that, we have golf's Ryder Cup, as well as a plethora of cricketing IT20 and one-day international encounters, including a World Cup, and before we collectively know it, Christmas will be upon us once again as a final countdown for England's winter tour and 5 test match series with India in January and February of 2024, the 3rd match being played on my birthday. A rare, indulgent treat. But can we have some more Ashes cricket, please? Now? Please? Who in their right sporting mind wouldn't want just a little more Ashes cricket from a series that saw every winning margin less than 50 runs, or the equally tight victory declaration of just 3 wickets? Every test match, down to the last knockings of a sporting encounter that flowed on unpredictable tides, casting one team in the ascendancy, and favourites to win, only for their opponents to snatch back dominance and cross the finishing line ahead. No comprehensive maulings by an innings and 150 runs, or medium total run chases smashed in 2 sessions and victory by 10 wickets with a day to spare. 2-2 is fair dinkum in anyone's language, yet there is an argument to be made that England and not Australia should have entered the cauldron of headity 2-0 up. I don't particularly subscribe to the theory, and nor do I blame Ben Stokes for his early declaration at Edgbaston, the first of this Ashes silly sidelines of tittle-tattle. England threw away their mid-match advantage, and Aussie skipper Pat Cummins played in innings for the ages to guide his team narrowly home. For England to have won at Lord's, Ben Stokes had to score 220 plus runs in their second innings, and he came mightily and oh so gloriously close to doing so. Bucking the consensus apparently, but 2-0 Australia heading to Yorkshire was a fair reflection on the series so far to me. The world champs had played their own game and taken their chances. The pretenders to their crown hadn't. Victory in Yorkshire was fittingly sealed by Chris Woakes and Mark Wood, but in a game yet again that veered from one team in control and heading for victory to the other, and another test match to go down to the wire of Storybook folklore. 2-1 entering Old Trafford, England were trailing in the series, but as dominant as either team had been over the other, and had the rain stayed away, there will always be the fantasy they would have won comfortably by an innings. The reality was a Marnus Labuschagne century against some tired and weary bowlers before the Mancunian monsoon descended from above. Despite the weight of history, I had Australia favourites entering day 5 at the Oval, but there was only going to be one storyteller in South London. Stuart Broad may have lived the sporting foot fairy tale by taking the final Australian wicket to fall, the unfairly monikered public enemy #1, Alex Carey. But Chris Woakes walked away with the awards for a match-winning spell of bowling for a team who'd scored runs for fun all around him, and lest we all forget, for another victory against the Test champions of the world. So you'll excuse me if I want a little bit more. 2-2, a drawn series after 25 days. Australia return home custodians of the smallest trophy in our sport, and rightly and deservedly so. But this Ashes series was one for the ages, and in the coming years this will be anointed so. I agree with England coach Brendan McCullum. Let's go round again. Great! When can we start? Act 2. A stylish century under the afternoon sun. After penning a combined 11 before the series began, it's only fair I luxuriate into a carefree century of boundary 4s and 6s with an end of Ashes 11-2. Number 1, Usman Khawaja. 2, Zach Crawley. 3, Marnus Labuschagne. 4, Joe Root. 5, Harry Brook. 6, Ben Stokes. 7, Moeen Ali. 8, Alex Carey. 9, Chris Woakes. 10, Pat Cummins. 11, Stuart Broad. From the 4 opening batsmen available, Usman Khawaja was an instant shoo-in as the series' top run scorer with an average a smidge below 50, a top score of 141, and his continual ability to seemingly bat all day, every day. At 36, Khawaja will surely never grace an Ashes series in England ever again, and is tipped for retirement in the coming Australian summer alongside his childhood friend and absentee from this combined 11, David Warner, who accumulated so many starts in the 20s and 30s but never scored more than 66 in a series average of only 28. Ben Duckett also misses out for similar reasons and should have turned his 98 at Lords into a huge match-winning innings, but he'll partner Zach Crawley in future Ashes series under the tutelage of Stokes and McCullum. Crawley, on the other hand, flourished throughout the series with a licence to influence and dictate the game by Stokes and McCullum, top scored with 189 and 480 total runs at an average of over 53. The number 3 slot is rather a moot point and a default insertion for Marnus Labuschagne, as his main competitor Ollie Pope was injured in the opening match, and all of his temporary opposite numbers, Ben Stokes, Harry Brook and Moeen Ali, figure in their rightful positions. 328 total runs at an average of just 32 doesn't justify Labuschagne's inclusion, but perhaps his battling 111 at Old Trafford does, as his team needed that innings on a rainy Saturday to stave off yet another defeat to a now dominant England. Labuschagne's chuckle brother Steve Smith is omitted in favour of Joe Root, but we're talking about the 3 top-ranked batsmen in world cricket here, and Root's top score of 118 and average of 51 easily eclipses another tepid series from the truly great Steve Smith, who, doubtful to ever grace an Ashes in England again, averaged a lowly 37 and the top score of 110. In the middle order we have 2 players who were rather found out, as the saying goes in cricket, their weaknesses exploited to nullify their match impact. One single series run separates Harry Brook from Travis Head, but Brook has given the nod as we compile a batting and bowling lineup heavy in runs. Ben Stokes takes the all-rounder slot at number 6, and had he added to his almost mystical list of achievements by scoring a double century for victory at Lords, he would have ended the series 3rd and not 4th in the top run scorer stakes, and Moeen Ali takes the spinner spot at number 7 as Nathan Lyon's unfortunate injury at Lords ruled him out of contention. I've watched a lot of Todd Murphy on Australia's recent tour to India, and I like the cut of his jib. With more and more time spent with the team GOAT, Nathan Lyon, I foresee Murphy playing a huge part in future Ashes series. The wicket-keeping gloves belong to Alex Carey, who remains public enemy number 1 and pantomime villain apart, deserved the position and his team's unsung hero of the whole summer. Johnny Bairstow comfortably outscored him and took remarkable catches behind the stumps at Old Trafford and the Oval, but I'm plumping for a specialist wicketkeeper and Carey gets the nod. If you think that's contentious, well, there's no place in my team for the series top wicket taker, Mitchell Starc, or his compatriot, Josh Hazlewood, or even the man who arguably changed the entire series with his fast bowling, Mark Wood. But Chris Woakes simply has to be included, even at a lowly number 9 in a long batting lineup, ahead of the bowling stars of our Ashes summer, Pat Cummins and Stuart Broad. The England legend may now be one whole day into retirement, but the Aussie skipper most certainly isn't, and I truly hope he returns for one last dance here in England in 4 years' time. Remarkably, as I pen these words, there appears to be a whole heap of pressure on the captain of Australia to release the reins back into the hands of Steve Smith, a move perhaps aimed at extending Smith's stay in the baggy green cap of Australia rather than a mooted possible retirement. Cummins returns home under a cloud of uncertainty despite leading his team to World Test Champion status and still holders of the Ashes. What larks! Act 3, not out at stumps. Well, it was a fun ride. From England's easy warm-up defeat of Ireland in their beautifully traditional cricketing whites with Irish green trim, through to Australia defeating India to become undisputed World Test champions, it's been an Ashes summer to remember, and despite my 3-2 prediction being dashed by the Manchester rain, a whole load of fun it's been along the way. As I wrote at length in my first cricket book, Ashes to Ashes, I tend to reserve my test match cricket watching for the witching hours, as night becomes mid-morning, via cold winter's days with the sunshine of Melbourne or Adelaide, Antigua or Wellington replacing the battleship grey of an England blanketed in the mists of fog of an English winter. So it will come as no surprise to admit I'm rather looking forward to their tour of India in the opening months of 2024. I'm an old school fan of test match cricket, as you may have gathered by now. The cut and thrust of a contest heavily dominated by the ball before being usurped by the bat, and vice versa. A team 100 for no wicket at lunch can soon be 120 for 5 by mid-afternoon, or a team struggling at 150 for 7 can still see out the remainder of the day before returning in the morning to double their score via their all-rounder batting in tandem with a wagging tail. A new ball, as brilliantly demonstrated in the conspiracy theory-laden final day at the Oval, can change the course of an innings as often as a bowler can with an inspired spell of bowling, or a batsman doggedly refusing to bend or give his wicket away when he can see the overhead clouds parting and a sunny afternoon's batting awaits him, if only he can battle and come through the spell of bowling that is mystifying his partners at the other end. Then you have those oh so vitally important opening sessions of play that dictate the 2 sessions that follow it, the individual battles within a team sport, declarations, dead balls, the straight one to someone else's googly, in a language all of its own for the grandest of all games. I am indeed old school in my love for a game I inherited the passion and insight from my cricket-loving parents before growing into a chuntering and miserable fast bowler, furious at the wicket-keeper for dropping a simple catch off my bowling. Walking back to my mark, talking to myself, growling at the teammate at mid-off as I shine the ball on the backside and inside thigh of my white trousers before turning at my mark and hurtling in its speed before trying to hit the wicket as hard as I could and on the seam of the ball. That half an inch, often less, being enough for that outside edge through to the slips, and don't you dare drop another catch off my bowling. Test match cricket enchants me, and old school or not, I'm also a revolutionary at heart, and so fully behind the radical movement instigated by Messrs Stokes and McCullum. Call their brand of cricket whatever you wish, but I've often described them previously as 2 cricket-mad kids who just want to push the pun-intended boundaries of a game they love as much as we do. They collectively took charge of a sinking ship less than 18 months ago and came within a bucketful of Manchester rain from winning the Ashes and thoroughly defeating the champions of the world. Viva la revolution! The spirit of cricket, an upside down journal from the 2023 Ashes. And here we are in Ironbridge. It's raining. I'm damp. I got hit by a couple of raindrops, but it doesn't matter. This place is beautiful. I can't resist coming here, as I've probably already said. Oh, just stop raining just for an hour, please. Go on. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. What else shall I talk about Ironbridge? I saw Jeremy earlier as I walked down here with his little pug dog Bear. He looked at me with a mixture of, what are you doing? It's raining. And also he's really pleased to see me, which was lovely, as I was him. I'm probably going to go and buy a quarter of lemon bonbons about an hour's time when it chucks it down with rain. I was going to swear them, but I'm not going to. This place just enchants me. And I'm going to try and complete another couple of videos, which you may not see. But anyway, I'm going to leave you in peace and in solidarity. And I do truly thank you for watching. Peace, everyone.